The night you hear this story, listen carefully, because some journeys begin the moment you believe they cannot reach you. If you've ever felt watched while traveling alone, if you've ever seen lights moving where no road should exist, then remember this. Not every caravan carries people, and not every traveler returns the same. They called it the Magic Caravan, though no one alive could explain why. The name drifted through villages like a half-forgotten prayer, whispered only after sunset, spoken softly as if the wind itself might be listening. I first heard of it on a winter evening when the power went out and the desert wind began to howl like something grieving. An old man sat across from me near a dying fire, his eyes reflecting flames that looked far too tall for the small bundle of wood between us. He asked me where I was traveling. When I told him the name of the road, his smile vanished, and his fingers tightened around his cup until it cracked. He told me not to go after dark. He told me that sometimes, when the moon is thin and the road is empty, a caravan appears that is not meant for the living. He told me, and then he begged me to forget that I didn't forget. The road stretched endlessly through the desert, a pale ribbon under a sky thick with stars. My vehicle was old, coughing with every mile, but turning back meant another day lost, another job gone. I laughed at the story then. Old men tell old tales. The desert makes people imagine things. I told myself that fear needs boredom to survive. Still, when my headlights flickered for the first time, my hands tightened on the steering wheel. It was close to midnight when I saw the lights. It first. I thought they were reflections. A mirage. Distant vehicles. But these lights moved differently. They floated, swayed, rising and falling like lanterns carried by invisible hands. They weren't white or yellow but a strange amber glow, warm and inviting, like campfires waiting for tired travelers. There was no sound, no engines, no footsteps, just the slow, deliberate motion of lights crossing the sand parallel to the road. That I slowed down without realizing it. Then I saw the shapes beneath the lights. Wagons. Old wooden wagons, their wheels half buried in sand, moving smoothly as if the ground itself was carrying them forward. Long fabrics draped over frames fluttered in a wind I could not feel. Camels walked in perfect lines, their silhouettes tall and unnatural, their eyes reflecting light like polished glass. At the front rode figures cloaked in dark robes, faces hidden, bodies unnaturally still. That a caravan, my heart hammered. Every instinct screamed at me to drive faster, to escape, but curiosity pressed harder. The caravan was beautiful in a terrible way, like a painting you cannot stop looking at even though it makes your stomach twist. As I drove alongside it, the lights brightened, and for a moment, I could swear they leaned toward me, as if noticing my presence. Then one of the riders turned its head. There was no face beneath the hood. Just darkness, deep and endless, like a hole cut into the world. From within that darkness came a voice, not loud, not threatening, but gentle and welcoming. "Traveler," it said, though its mouth did not move. "You look tired." My vehicle stalled. The engine died with a choking gasp, and the sudden silence was unbearable. I tried the ignition again and again. Nothing. The caravan slowed, then stopped entirely, wagons settling into the sand as if they had always belonged there. One by one, the cloaked figures dismounted, their feet never quite touching the ground. "You may rest with us," the voice said. "The desert is cruel to those who walk alone." I wanted to refuse. I wanted to run. But when the doors unlocked on their own and opened slowly, my body moved before my mind could stop it. The air outside was cold, far colder than it should have been, carrying the scent of old smoke and something sweet, like rotting flowers. They led me into the caravan. Inside, time felt wrong. Fires burned without wood. Shadows moved in directions light should not allow. People sat around the flames, men, women, children, all dressed in clothes from different eras. Some wore garments centuries old. Others looked modern, terrified, eyes hollow with exhaustion. When I met their gazes, they looked away, as if ashamed or afraid of being noticed. Food was offered. Water that shimmered faintly as if stars had dissolved into it. Hunger and thirst overpowered fear, and I drank. The moment the water touched my lips, warmth flooded my body, easing every ache, every worry. Laughter bubbled from my chest, unearned and uncontrollable. The caravan felt safe. It felt like home. That's how it traps you. Music began to play, soft at first, then richer, layered with instruments I couldn't name. Dancers moved around the fire, their movements slow, hypnotic, their shadows stretching unnaturally long. The cloaked figures watched from the edges, unmoving, their hoods always turned toward the living. That I noticed something then. No one ever left the circle of firelight. The darkness beyond it seemed thicker, heavier, as if it would swallow anything that stepped too close. I also noticed that no one slept. Eyes closed, bodies rested, but there was no real sleep. No dreams. Just waiting. That I asked a woman beside me how long she had been traveling with the caravan. She smiled, but tears slid silently down her cheeks. I joined it when my hair was black, she whispered. Now I don't remember the feel of sunlight. Panic surged. I stood up, backing away from the fire. The music faltered for a fraction of a second. Every cloaked figure turned toward me at once. You are welcome here, the voice said again, closer now, behind me. Why are you afraid? I want to leave, I said. My voice shook. Please. The air grew colder. The fire dimmed. Leaving has a price, it replied. As does staying. The darkness at the edge of the camp stirred. Shapes moved within it, writhing, whispering. Faces appeared and vanished, mouths open in silent screams. I understood then what the caravan truly was. It did not kill. It collected. It gathered the lost, the tired, the broken, feeding them comfort while slowly draining something far more precious than life. Time. I ran. The moment I crossed the boundary of firelight, the cold hit like a wall. Hands clawed at me from the dark, fingers like ice, voices begging, warning, cursing. I felt memories slipping, moments from my life tearing away like pages from a book caught in a storm. Faces of loved ones blurred. Names vanished. That I screamed and kept running. The desert reappeared suddenly, the road solid beneath my feet. My vehicle stood where I had left it, engine humming softly as if nothing had happened. Behind me, the caravan was already moving away, lights drifting back into the sandstorm that had risen without sound. That I collapsed into the driver's seat and drove until dawn. When the sun rose, the desert looked ordinary again. Empty. Harmless. I laughed, hysterical, relief flooding me. I told myself it was a hallucination. Exhaustion. Fear. But when I reached the next town, something was wrong. People looked at me strangely. Mirrors showed a face older than it should have been. Lines etched deep around my eyes. My hands trembled with a weakness I had never known. When I tried to call my family, the numbers felt unfamiliar. When someone finally answered, the voice on the other end was polite, distant, confused. They had never heard of me. Records didn't exist. Photographs showed gaps where I should have been. It was as if I had never lived the life I remembered. Only fragments remained, floating uselessly in my mind. That night, as I sat alone in a rented room, I saw lights outside the window. Amber lights, swaying gently, waiting just beyond the edge of the town. A familiar voice whispered from the darkness. Traveler, it said, you still owe us. Now I understand the truth. The magic caravan never lets you go completely. If you escape, it takes what it can and waits. It waits until you are tired again, until the world feels empty, until you start to miss the warmth of the fire and the kindness in that faceless voice. And one night, when the road is quiet and the moon is thin, you will follow the lights willingly, grateful to finally belong somewhere. If you ever see a caravan glowing softly in the desert, moving where no road exists, don't stop. Don't listen. And whatever you do, don't drink the water.